Welcome to Deadly Dames, and today we thought we'd do a top 9 shark movies, mainly because I don't have 10 that I like, in preparation for the new movie Meg coming out, and mainly because I'm really looking forward to Meg. I really enjoy shark movies, and I'm really hoping that Meg will be finally my top 10. It will fall into my top 10 shark movies, and finally I'll have 10 shark movies that I really enjoy. I do like silly shark movies, but it just takes a lot for me to actually enjoy a silly shark movie, and trust me, there are some silly shark movies on this list. It's just that I don't overly enjoy stupid shark movies, and as I said, there are some really stupid shark movies on this list. It's just that I don't overly enjoy ridiculous shark movies, but 2 at the bottom of this are stupid shark movies, so I do enjoy silly ones. It just takes a lot for me to really enjoy them, but I'm really looking forward to Meg. I think it's going to fall in line with ridiculous but also action that I like. I like Jason Statham. I think he's got that like Bruce Willis but better quality to him, and I think that this shark movie is going to be ridiculous but in a good action, doesn't take itself serious kind of way. I think it'll kind of fall in line with maybe like Piranha 3D but more action quality to it. I really want to see this film, and I really hope that it lives up to exactly what I want it to be, and that's what kind of made me want to do this movie. I've not done a video in a while because I haven't been well again, but it prompted me in the build up for this movie coming out just to kind of get into it and talk a little bit about shark films. So I know this has been a massive intro, but plus it got me putting up loads of pictures of Meg. And hopefully you're as excited about this film as I am. I've watched the trailer like 50 times in preparation for it, because it's a perfect trailer. Doesn't show you too much, shows you the right amount of Jason Statham and sharky goodness. So without further ado, let's get talking about silly shark movies, and this is our top 9, because I didn't have 10 shark films. So yeah, let's get started. And as I said, my 9th one is a silly shark movie, and it is Sharknado. Now, I know that a lot of people don't like Sharknado, but I actually went into this movie thinking this is going to be a big pile of crap. And it kind of is, but it was the right kind of pile of crap. It's just stupid. And every sequel afterwards is just stupid, but it's stupid goodness. I just enjoyed watching people get killed by stupid CGI sharks. And I know there's a lot of stupid CGI shark movies out there, but there was just something about this one that I enjoyed watching. The CGI sharks are stupid. I think what I really liked about it is when you watch the making of, that they actually just throw green foam sharks at people, and the acting is terrible. Like Tara Reid's acting is awful in it, but they have a lot of fun in the making of these movies, and I thought that was good as well. And one of the things that I thought was really good about this film is that they don't take themselves seriously. And then like celebrities just jumped in there and started going like, "Oh, kill me please," and I have no idea why there are so many sequels to this franchise, but each sequel just gets more ridiculous. I've watched every single one, and it just gets more ridiculous. The most recent one, I think, was 5. I mean, Dolph Lundgren was in that, and I reviewed that for the Geek Legion of Doom's channel. You can go and watch my review, and it's just silly, but it's just that right type of silliness. As I said, it doesn't take itself serious. I just smile when I watch the Sharknado movies, and I think that's why I like them so much, because they are just stupid. I mean, there's sharks in space, there's toxic sharks, there's time travel sharks. It is just a silly franchise, and that's what I like about it. I'm actually looking forward to Sharknado 6, and I think that's why I like the silly Sharknado movies. So yeah, shark movie number 8 is also a silly shark movie, and again I just laughed at this one, and that's why I enjoyed Ghost Shark. Don't watch Ghost Shark 2 because it is just terrible. I was looking forward to Ghost Shark 2 and it ruined it, so that's why I stay away from it. What I liked about Ghost Shark is that there's one particular scene. This scene was actually really funny as well. The kids sliding and being eaten by it. But what I liked is that the shark is basically murdered by shark poachers and comes back as a ghost shark, but it can manifest itself in water and basically kill people. So if you drink water, the shark will kill you. But my favourite scene is like the scantily clad women washing the cars, and then they just start getting thrown about by sharks in buckets of water. It's just so funny. There's a picture coming up in a few seconds of them getting thrown about all over the place as the girls are washing the cars. I was literally peeing myself laughing at them being thrown about all over the place washing the cars. It's such a silly movie, but because it doesn't take itself seriously, I found it very funny. I think sometimes with these comedy shark movies, because they do try and take themselves seriously as well as funny, it doesn't work. But because Ghost Shark didn't, and it just had fun, it worked. I recommend Ghost Shark to everybody because it was just a silly fun movie. I enjoyed it. I prefer serious shark movies, but with Sharknado and Ghost Shark, because they just had fun with it, I enjoy both of them. So yeah, that's my two silly shark movies out the way, Ghost Shark and Sharknado. And then after these two, it is all sort of more serious shark movies for me. So yeah, number 7 starts off the Jaws franchise. We're starting with Jaws 3D, which is actually, believe it or not, my first Jaws movie that I've seen, and we had it on VHS. Now, I know that the 3D effect in Jaws 3D is terrible. I had the 3D tape, and the 3D effects is awful, but I actually liked the idea of Jaws 3D. I liked the idea that it was set in a theme park. Well, I'm trying to think of the best way to do it, like a park pretty much. I liked the idea that the shark was trapped in there and people couldn't get out. I thought that was a really, really good idea. Plus, it's got Leah Thompson in it, so it's got like Martin McFly's mum, who's pretty. And I thought that was quite a scary idea when they were all on like the skis and on those I don't know what you would call those things, those floaty devices, and they were all getting bumped off. There's not an awful lot of death in Jaws 3D, but I still thought that was quite a creepy idea. The 3D effects in it is awful though. But yeah, I actually still really enjoy Jaws 3D. I still watch it to this day and still get a kick out of watching it. I think they probably shouldn't have went with the 3D gimmick effect, but overall the actual storyline isn't bad. I know they've got obviously the dolphins coming to save the day and things like that, but I like that it's still the Brody family and you've got obviously the kids that are older and stuff like that, and you're still following them as they're at their job when they're and the shark's following its kid to the park and stuff like that. I'm running out of steam as I'm speaking here. I don't think Dennis Quaid and things like that are actually bad in this movie at all. And this effect here is actually quite gruesome with the eyeball. When I was a kid, some of it kind of went over my head and things like that. Like obviously the brother was still scared of the water and things like that. The timeline's a little bit off in this. It's certainly way better than Jaws 4. Jaws 4 is atrocious. As you can see, Jaws 4 did not make this list. Didn't make sense them following the family to a tropical island in Jaws 4. I thought the way that they killed the shark in this one actually at least made sense, but I overall still think Jaws 3D is not a bad movie. It was just, for the time, the 3D effect was not up to scratch. It wasn't ready to be a 3D movie. I think that they probably should have just tried to make it a normal movie rather than doing 3D. It's quite funny because there's a couple, I can see the pictures before they come up. There's a couple of 3D pictures about to happen and you'll see how bad the 3D effect is. I still have my 3D VHS of this. I don't think you can get the 3D copy anymore, like on DVD, but like look at the 3D effect here. It's so bad. They shouldn't have done it. Like watching it now when it's not in 3D, it's so bad. But overall, I still think the storyline to Jaws 3D isn't that bad. They should have just stuck to a normal storyline though. Oh dears. But I still enjoy the movie. And then at number 6, this is a relatively recent movie, is Bait 3D, which is a much better 3D movie. My only issue with Bait, because I actually really like the idea that it's a tsunami and it's people trapped in a supermarket. And obviously, because you never really think in a tsunami that obviously creatures from the sea are going to be washed into, and that you're going to have people that are trapped in the supermarket, but yes, the animals are also going to be trapped in there, so you never really think that, well, of course sharks are going to be washed into. My only issue with Bait is the practical effects in this movie are actually very, very good. I kind of just wish that they hadn't done the CGI, because I'm a big believer in practical effects, and I know that people use CGI because it's cheaper, but the CGI for me kind of ruined it a little bit. But overall, I thought the storyline was great in this. I think the actors that they picked in this were great. Some of the actual situations that they put the actors in this movie were excuse me, fantastic. Like the scene where they were trapped in the car were amazing. But there was a couple of scenes that they did where, like, the guy was trying to escape through the ceiling. I kind of wish they just hadn't done that bit. I would prefer they'd just stuck to the practical effects. There was parts where, like, the shark was swimming through the aisle of the supermarket. Obviously, they were on the top of the shelves, and it was catching on debris in the water. That was really creepy. I liked that element because it was almost doing what the classic Jaws, which will obviously come up in this list, it's the classic, did, where, you know, what you didn't see was more scary than what you did see. I kind of wish they'd just stuck to that than having the CGI, but that's just my personal feeling. But I thought this movie took me by surprise. I bought it thinking that it was just going to be another CGI filled typical movie that wasn't going to be very good, and it really took me by surprise. I never really thought that if there was a tsunami, what happens to the animals, and I thought this is very clever writing, because yeah, the animals are going to be washed into shore too. What happens when they get trapped? Well, this answered the questions. The animals are going to be trapped with the people, and yeah, I thought it was very clever, and really enjoyed watching what happens when a great white shark is trapped in a supermarket with people, or two. But yeah, if you've never seen Bait, I would certainly say give this one a go, because it was a very smart movie, and I enjoyed watching what happens when there's people and sharks trapped together. As I said, my only gripe with this one was the CGI elements. I much preferred the practical effects, but that's why I put it so high. I thought the acting and the storyline and everything merged really well together, and I really enjoyed it. It took me by surprise, and the 3D element in this was obviously much better than Jaws 3D. It worked a lot better, and the ending to this was well thought out. You could tell that they were perhaps a fan of Jaws 2, which is also going to come up in this list. I'm trying not to do spoilers, but it's very difficult when you're doing a shark movie list not to do spoilers, because there's you start to talk about other shark movies that are on the list coming up ahead of the other shark movies that you're talking about, and running out of steam, doing a lot of talking here, lots and lots of talking. But yeah, Bait 3D, big surprise, really enjoyed it. And number 5. Number 5's a little blast from the past, Deep Blue Sea. So yeah, I remember seeing Deep Blue Sea at the cinema and being really taken by surprise with this one, because it was very clever. I liked the idea that it was a research centre under the sea, so really they kind of had nowhere to go. It was in the middle of nowhere. And I also liked that it wasn't a great white, because obviously a lot of these movies are great white sharks. I liked the idea that they were very smart as well, so they had been experimented on, and they'd made the sharks super clever, so they kind of screwed themselves. I was trying to think of a very polite way to put that, because they made the sharks smarter than they were, and every move that they made, the sharks were technically like, I was going to say 2 steps ahead of them, but we put 2 fins ahead of them, and technically there was no way out. And as I said, because they were in the middle of the sea, there was really no way for them to get away from the sharks, and they were in a research centre that was crumbling down round about them. I just thought Deep Blue Sea was really clever. Obviously, by today's standards, the CGI, because it was all CGI, I mean, I think there was maybe up close, there was some practical effects that were there, but mainly like the underwater scenes were CGI. By today's standards, the CGI doesn't really hold up, but I still love Deep Blue Sea for the uniqueness of it back then. I thought that, still watching it today, it's still a really good movie. I love the classic Samuel Jackson scene that's in this movie. It's still classic Samuel Jackson. I mean, he still takes you by surprise. I said the CGI in it, you can tell it's CGI when you watch it, but I remember the first time I watched it, you didn't expect it. It had the almost like the Janet Leigh effect in it, because you didn't really expect Samuel Jackson to die. And I'm not spoiling anything for you, because I think most people have seen Deep Blue Sea by now. A lot of the scenes that happen in it were kind of shocking, like the arm scene and the underwater scene, and the poor blonde girl when she got bit in places you don't want to get bit. I think really took you by surprise at the time, because you didn't really expect those sorts of things to happen. I went to see this movie twice when it first came out, because it was the type of shark movie that you needed. As I said, my favourite movie, and you probably, I'm giving away what's number 1 here, but my favourite movie of all time is Jaws, and I was waiting for a shark movie like this to come out, because there had been no good shark films. It was all stupid shark films, and Deep Blue Sea was the movie that I wanted to see. And then after Deep Blue Sea, there was a lot again of stupid shark movies, and it took a long time for any good movie to come out, and it was exactly what I needed. And it still holds up. It's still a really good shark film, and I'm glad that this film came out, because it was a clever stalker shark movie, and it's still probably one of the only shark films that doesn't have a great white being the killer shark film. So yeah, on to number 4, I think, right? Yeah, number 4. And again, it's a relatively recent shark film. I found this one, 47 Metres Down, to be really, really tense. This was last year it came out here in the UK. So this is 2 sisters go on a cage dive with a kind of dodgy crew. They probably should have not went on that cage dive, because it looked rather rusty. And the cage snaps and they end up at the bottom of the sea with the oxygen in their tank running out. And it's kind of they chummed before the cage dive, and it's kind of they're stuck in the bottom of the sea, and the guys in the boat are trying to find a way to get to them, but the oxygen in their tank is running out. And it's basically, do they swim to the surface and risk the great whites, which had been chummed above them, munching on them, or stay at the bottom and wait to be rescued and their oxygen runs out? So I found this movie incredibly tense. It's a beautifully shot, because it's all just ocean scenery around about them. I thought the 2 girls that played sisters were excellently cast, but it was really, really tense the entire way through it. I thought that it's got a really good red herring ending in this, and yeah, I was tense the whole way through. It's really the only way to describe this, but it was a really, really good movie. I know it got mixed reviews, but personally for me, again, it was a shark movie I was waiting for. I thought it was different. It tried something different, and overall I just really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought it didn't need to be like many other shark movies that were out there. It didn't have to have, like the blood and the guts. It just needed to be tense. It was all about the 2 sisters and what they were doing to try and save each other. It was all about the suspense, and time was running out, and what you'll do to try and survive, and in the situation that they were in. and the fact that oxygen's running out. Do you get out the cage? Do you stay in the cage? They're alone. And I loved how they used the blank open space, and it was all just open space. And I remember there was one particular scene where it was one of them swimming, and it was just emptiness, and it was really creepy because everywhere she looked it was just empty. All around about her, just emptiness. But it was also beautiful, and I remember thinking, how can something be so creepy but so beautiful at the same time? And I thought that was very clever, to have beauty and creepy in the same scene. But that's what I loved about that movie at the same time. But yeah, I was really taken by surprise with 47 Metres Down. The music and the scenery made it very tense. That's the only way to describe it. But yeah, really enjoyed 47 Metres Down. I would highly recommend it. Yeah, very clever, very good movie. And then on to number 3, and it's another Jaws movie. I absolutely love Jaws 2. I always have loved Jaws 2. I love the idea that it was a group of kids kind of stranded on their own. I love that they've kind of got to band together, and it's basically they're stuck together on essentially crap boats tied together, and they're all just drifting. I always loved Brody. He was just my favourite character from Jaws 1. Way better than the book. I've always said that Jaws, the movie, was better than the book. And I love that they're all just stuck there together, drifting out at sea, waiting for Brody to come and save them. I know that Jaws 2 doesn't have an awful lot of, death. But you don't need to see people die to know the situation's crap. And that's what I like about Jaws 2. These are just kids in a really horrible situation where they need saved, and they're waiting to be saved, and the more that they know their situation's getting rubbish, the more tense it gets, and the more scared that they get, and the more that they need saved. And it's just Brody, and no one will listen to him, just like in Jaws 1. And he's basically on his own trying to get to them, just like in number 1, where he's on his own and no one's listening to him. They should really listen to Brody. They should really just get used to actually believing in him. And he's trying to get to his son, both his sons, and all these other kids that are stranded on essentially floating bits of plastic and floating bits of wood, with a great big shark trying to munch on them again. And I always thought that poor screaming lassie, in one hand you want to punch her in the face because she's screaming her head off, but in the other hand she does a really good job of looking absolutely petrified. But let's face it, if that shark was coming after you, you'd be petrified too. And then you've got the wee kid that's pumping up his sinking life raft. And then I always remember wanting to see what happens to the girl that jumps in the water and saves Brody's son. But on the other hand, you do not want to see, because that shark clearly eats her whole, and it sounds nasty, because you don't see anything. She's gone. He swallows the whole kid, and his son's obviously petrified after that. And then it's weird because you think when they made that movie, I don't know, because obviously Jaws 1 was a PG, which I always thought was dead weird. How on earth did they get that movie to be a PG? Because it's 12 now, but it was initially a PG, and you could tell that maybe they kind of got into trouble a little bit when they made that, and they were probably trying to get part 2 through as a PG, so that's maybe why they didn't have as much going on with this one. They were maybe trying to get past the censors with this. There's the poor kid there that gets swallowed whole. But I love the ending of this movie, where he tells the shark to smile. I think that's a great ending, because you could tell they've gone, right, so this is how we killed the shark in part 1, how are we going to get it in part 2? And I love the posters to Jaws. I've got a poster from number 1. I've always been on the lookout for the poster for number 2, because I think it's equally as smart a poster. And one day I'll find that poster, and it will be on my wall. But yeah, I've always been a fan of part 2. I think it's an amazing movie. It's almost as good as part 1. I just think that the idea of all these kids stuck out there at sea. I bet you Mike wishes that he listened to his dad. But yeah, the Jaws movies to me are just fantastic films. There's something magical about not part 4. But what on earth happened to part 4? I mean, who really thought after 3... Okay, so 3 wasn't fantastic, but we've touched on that already, but who on earth thought, let's have Jaws chase them to a tropical island? Who really... How did that get past somebody? Who really thought, let's just have them? So I put a little picture there of part 4 just for the sake of it. But who really thought, let's just have them go to a tropical island after The Amazing 1 and 2? I don't know. But yeah, I really have a soft spot for part 2. I think it's a good movie, and that's why it's on my list. I think that part 2 is a good film, so that's why it's in my number 3 spot. So my number 2 position goes to a relatively new movie because I thought it was a fantastic film, and it really only has one actress in it, and that is The Shallows. I think that Blake Lively did a fantastic job in this, and I know that The Shallows isn't a perfect movie by any means, but I thought that, considering how shark movies normally go, that The Shallows is an excellent movie. I thought the idea of being stranded on this tiny little rock with a shark circling you and no one able to help you was an amazing idea, and I thought that she did a fantastic job in that movie of making you believe her. I thought the idea that she ended up there because of a whale carcass was a great idea, because like, who doesn't watch David Attenborough and know that that's how sharks are attracted to whale carcasses? So I thought that was a really good idea. I thought it was a beautifully shot movie. I thought that even the shark attack itself was very realistic. Again, watch too much David Attenborough. I thought she did a fantastic job in it. I thought everything that they did in it was quite realistic. There's obviously things that you'll pick up in movies that you do think, well, I don't like that part, but I'm not a movie maker, and everything that I seen in that movie I loved, from beginning to end. I loved that it was like basically a one-woman show. There are some parts in it where there was other actors, but I literally sat watching that whole movie mesmerised. I've watched it 3 or 4 times, and if I can watch a movie 3 or 4 times since then and still love the film, then I know that I love the movie. I think that it's an absolutely beautiful movie. It's picture perfect. It's just beautiful. Amazingly acted, and I love how it ramps up. Like, there's parts in the movie where you think she's given up, and like the little seagull comes into it and basically ends up being the person that keeps her going, and it's just an amazing film. I don't know how you can make a movie with one person in it that keeps you glued to the screen the whole way through. It just shows how good an actress she is, and how a movie can be that pretty about something so horrible, but it is that pretty. It's a bit like 47 Meters Down, how a movie can be that pretty but so terrifying at the same time, but it is that terrifying. When you see her reach over into the water and then that shark almost gets her, it is terrifying. And the thing about sharks is, like, I'm scared of sharks, but I'm also completely fascinated by them. I think that they're beautiful creatures, but I think that the sea is theirs, and like, I know I'm not meant to swim in the sea with them, but I also know that if I'm going to go into the sea, then I'm kind of risking them coming to munch on me. But I thought that The Shallows did a fantastic job of showing one woman's will to survive in that situation. I think it did a really, really good job of rivaling Jaws. It's obviously never going to top Jaws, and I'm obviously giving away what movies in my top position here, but I kind of gave that away back at the beginning when I said that Jaws was my favourite movie. But yeah, I thought that The Shallows was a fantastic movie. It didn't have to do too much violence in it to be a fantastic movie. It just needed a really, really good actress, a really good storyline, beautifully shot. It needed to have... I think my only issue with the movie The Shallows was probably the ending. I started maybe closer to the end of the movie, started getting a little bit concerned as to how they were going to end it. But to be fair, I thought it was a good enough ending to justify me still loving it. And I still love the movie. I thought it was very clever, very beautiful, and very well acted. Yeah, and as I said, I've watched it 3 or 4 times, so I must really love the film. And I think you've all guessed what's in the number 1 position. I think you've probably guessed my number 1 spot is Jaws, because I've said it a few times that Jaws is my number 1 movie of all time. I think Jaws is just the perfect blend of horror and adventure. It's basically about a small island community which basically relies on tourists coming to it to make money, and it starts off with a girl being attacked, and you're following the sheriff as he tries to shut down the island to investigate what's happening, and the mayor won't let him do it. And then you follow a band of 3 guys. So you've got like the ship captain who has survived a horrific shark attack before, and then you've got the expert in sharks, and then Sheriff Brody, who doesn't like the water, as they band together to basically go on an adventure to hunt down this man-eating shark and kill it before it can do any more damage. I think the thing about Jaws is that the time that it came out, like, it scared the living crap out of everybody. And the score in this movie is like a big part of that, because anybody, even to this day, if you had even a big toe dipped in water and someone started going, did it, you would instantly pull your leg out of the water, because you know that means a shark is coming. And I'm still, like, I would still do that to this day. I think for me that I've seen Jaws like 1,000,000 times, and in my lifetime I will probably watch Jaws 1,000,000 times more. It's just a perfect film. As I said, it's got adventure, it's got action, it's got horror, it's got budding friendship, it's got everything in it that just makes this movie perfect. The acting, the score, as I said to you, just everything in this movie works, and it's just magic. It's really the only way to describe the movie Jaws, and I would never want to see this movie remade, and I don't think a shark movie will ever top this film. I think what makes it great as well is that I'm actually glad that so many things kind of went wrong with it. I don't think Steven Spielberg would like to hear that, because I think at the time that it almost ruined him. But I think I'm glad it did, because the fact that you can't see the shark is what makes this shark so scary, and makes this movie so scary, and makes it so perfect. But for me, this will always be the best shark movie. I just love this film so much, and I think it will always top my shark list. And as much as I'm looking forward to Meg, because I think it will be fun, I think Jaws will just always be that number 1 on my list. But I would love to know what everyone else's number 1 shark movie is. I've got a feeling that Jaws will probably be up there as well, but I'm curious as to what other people's love. But yeah, for me, it will always be Jaws. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to me ramble on about shark movies, and take care.